Hallo?
Hello,
Ja, hier ist
this is Andre.
Ja,
I have the new clutch and crankshaft here.
neue Kupplung hier.
Do you want to watch too? Then stay tuned in just a moment.
Dann schalt ein, okay? Bleib dran, einen Moment. Hallo, ich bin der André vom
Hello, I'm Andre from SIP and I'm glad you're with us again.
für euch unsere
I have a new SIP performance clutch here, which I'd like to show you more in detail.
und dazu
And in addition, a 62-stroke rotary vane shaft with splines which of course fit perfectly.
natürlich dazu perfekt passt.
Nice.
Der Hauptunterschied
The main difference between the original Piaggio clutch and the well-known Cosa clutch is that the structure is completely reversed.
der Aufbau komplett umgekehrt ist. Das ist eine Inverse.
This is an inverse clutch.
Bedeutet,
Means that the inner part of the clutch is connected to the crankshaft and the outer part is connected to the gear wheel and the transmission.
Zahnrad mit dem Getriebe verbunden. Das hat einen wesentlichen
This has a significant advantage because the mass inertia of the smaller inner part is lower than that of the outer.
Teil, weil der kleiner ist, geringer als die Massenträgheit von dem äußeren Teil und deswegen hängt der
That's why the engine hangs noticeably better on the gas and turns out better when it's disengaged.
diese Zahnräder,
We have these gear wheels made for the three most common primary gears.
drei verschiedene Primär-Zahnräder, aus unserer Sicht die am meisten verbreiteten, und zwar
The large one for the 200s with helical toothing for Piaggio 65 teeth pinion and two straight-toothed versions.
100er. Und dann zwei gerad verzahnte Versionen, einmal für
The 64-tooth Polini and Malossi primary with the common straight toothing and the 62-tooth primary from DRT,
und einmal für
the longest of the available gear ratios.
DRT. Das ist von den erhältlichen Übersetzungen die längste. Die Kupplung hat noch einen
Another advantage of the Cosa and Piaggio clutches are the four complete lining discs, which have the lining material on both sides.
wirklich auf beiden Seiten das Belagmaterial haben. Wir haben auch
Compared to the old BFA coupling, we have the advantage of having more lugs on which the power of the engine and its torque can be transmitted.
die Kraft des Motors und das Drehmoment übertragen kann, sodass wir dann
As a result, we expect relatively low wear, as is the case with the outer basket of the clutch, which is made of high-strength aluminum.
Aluminium ist. Die Trennscheiben sind
Since the separated discs are made of aluminum, the clutch is lighter than the Cosa clutch.
Cosa-Kupplung. Alles ist hoch.
Everything is made with high-precision CNC, so it would work just great. We offer this coupling in two variations. For one with the usual wedge connection.
Der Kupplungsstumpf
That means the clutch stop is just a shaft, on which the crescent wedge sits.
und wir bieten
However, we also offer this clutch tooth. Thus has a toothed clutch in a basket.
der verzahnt ist und dazu
To
passt
match it has crankshafts that are splined to the clutch stroke with a very solid M14 thread.
soliden M14 Gewinde, also das quasi
This is the same size as the nut or rear axle of an old PX model, a Vespa Rally or most vintage cars.
den meisten Oldtimer, ich glaube bis zu VM, die lässt sich sehr
This is very easy to assemble so that Loctite or shaft tab joint are no longer required.
leicht wirklich hält.
So that it really holds together, you tighten it with a special nut, which is also included.
Und
So if a defect occurs and you want to replace the clutch gear, you can also take it down again very easily.
sehr leicht wieder runternehmen. Die BFA
If I'm not mistaken, the BFA clutch has 8 springs and our clutch has 9.
innen neu.
These are springs from the PK, XL or XL2, which are available in different hardnesses.
XL2 und die es in verschiedenen Härten gibt. Und wenn man da schon
Since we're going for the softer springs and fitting all 9 seats with them, it's mathematically possible to transmit the forces that probably only occur at 100 HP.
schon rechnerisch Kräfte übertragen, die wahrscheinlich erst bei 100 PS auftreten. Also ich will jetzt nicht sagen, dass
No guarantee that this clutch can handle 100 HP. It hasn't been tested yet, but in theory the clutch could transmit it.
aber theoretisch könnte es die Kupplung übertragen. Ein Haltewerkzeug
To tighten the clutch, a holding tool is included. A compression tool is also included.
es ist
These are screws that compress the clutch.
so Schrauben, die die Kupplung zusammenpressen. Jetzt noch die
Now we come to the crankshaft, which has become very dear to me.
Erstens finde ich schaut
Because on the one hand, it looks great, and on the other hand, the crankshaft was produced by a very recognized manufacturer from Italy. So nothing is delivered from the Far East.
Ost. Es
Like our performance shafts, it has a connecting rod that is not prone to cracking at all due to the polish.
auch auch also durch die Politur überhaupt nicht rissgefährdet ist oder sowas. Hat die schönen Schmier.
In addition, the crankshaft has the proven nice lubrication holes, as well as slots, a silver bearing and a rather streamlined shape on the rotary vane. There's a control time of -5 for the rotary vane, which means that the opponing starts about 5 degrees before the stroke pin and adds 125 degrees after the stroke pin. In original Piaggio case, this results in a control time of about 185 degrees. We're putting that in our engine now. Better you never get there again. And then put it in. For the crankshaft with a 62mm stroke, we had the alternator spindled into 2 halves with a CNC mill, which is unfortunately necessary. A retraction tool is needed here. In this case, we are really lucky, because the tool fits only for the rear axle of a PX Alt.
PX Alt, glaube ich, passt. So.
The shaft is in. Now we can easily put the coupling in without much effort.
Sondern wir können jetzt auch schön leicht, ohne großen Kraftaufwand, die Kupplung einfach draufschieben und die sitzt.
The shaft fits great. Now we just have to screw it tight. It is important to use a special thrust washer for this stop. This is also included with the crankshaft, so everything is available. There's also this special solid nut with a 90mm wrench size. Nevertheless, we still lubricate a thread locker on it. Then we can tighten it. Crack. And it's tight. Now there's no wedge in it that could have shifted in any way. Everything fits perfectly. After the clutch is mounted, we need a pressure plate. Here advise our ball bearing pressure plates. These are particularly suitable when using strong clutch springs, because the high pressure sometimes overloads the original bronze separator and melts. Then the lid is attached. As promised, the lid was not spindled. Only the bar was removed at the top, which also makes sense. Without further change it fits plug and play on it. Now the clutch can run freely. I assembled the rest of the engine as shown in my other tutorials. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to see you next time. We also appreciate all your comments. Have fun with your own engine and your Vespa, and see you next time. Goodbye.